Good morning, it's Kale. I'm doing another book review on my Sunsword series on YouTube, and my channel is Cail's Corner. Welcome on in. Be sure you like the videos, subscribe to the channel, and get more reviews like this. So today we're talking about the Shiningcourt, and you can see the book cover there. There are there's the 6 books that are in the series. I've done The Broken Crown and The Uncrowned King. So this is the 3rd book, and the story is building. So you'll have to watch those other 2 videos to kind of get an idea of what's going on. So I'm going to just very casually go over the book. This is my favorite fantasy series, and I've got some music in the background. I'm going to turn it down just a tad. There we go. So anyhow, The Shiningcourt by Michellewest. It was published in September of 1999. It's 737 pages. It's by Doll Books, so it is paperback. I have not seen these books in hardback. The newer books are, but not this series. So I'm going to also try and avoid spoilers for the most part. I mean, I don't want to really tell you exactly everything that happens, but I'll go over the major plot summary and everything. So I've got, as usual, my notes here. And I'll kind of go over, I guess I'll go over the characters first. I've got a little thing here, so let me hide my little baby dragon that's with me, and I'm going to go over to my window capture. And here are the characters that are in this book. Now, they are in the other 2 books, some of them, but not all of them. So we've got Diora. She's the flower of the Dominion. She's kind of being held as a virtual hostage by her father and his friend Alesso. They kind of did a political coup in the Torleon. So she's like a virtual hostage. They're not letting anybody see her. They're not letting her go anywhere. So she's basically just like a hostage. Her aunt is Teresa Di Murano, and she's working to free Diora. So Diora's mother passed away, and Teresa made a vow that she would watch over Diora. So that's, and she loves her, and she wants to, get her out of that situation. And then Diora's father is Sendari Di Murano. He's a Wyden, which is kind of like a sorcerer, and he's Diora's father. Then we've got Alesso Kai Di Alesso. He is the new Tiragar of the Dominion. He's the one who set up the coup and took over from the previous leader. Then we've got Jewel J, they call her J, Marquess Terrafin. She's a council member up in House Terrafin, which is up in the north in the Empire of Esselion. She's a seer, so she can kind of see the future events, and she has some other powers that come with being a seer. And she has a lot of dreams that kind of, they tell the future, but she doesn't really always understand what the dream's about. But she knows that sometimes she has to act on those dreams, and it kind of guides her on what to do. Then we've got Avendar Galeas. He's Jules Domicis and protector, right? He has magical powers, but a lot of his background is still a mystery. You start learning a little bit more in this book. He's not part of the Northern Mage community. He's kind of he's an outlier, let's put it that way. And then we've got the Radin. They are a religious order. They serve the Lord of Night. I'm going to turn this down a little bit more. They serve the Lord of Night, not the demon Lord of Night guy, which is kind of a little confusing. But in the Dominion, they have a male and female deity pair. So they've got the Lord of Night and the Lady. So the Lord and the Lady. So the Lady is nighttime mysteries, emotions, things like that. And then the Lord is warrior, fire, daytime, more active. So it's kind of the male and feminine energies in these deities that they believe in and they pray to and so forth. So the Radin serve this Lord of, night. It's not the Lord of Night, but like the Lord of, I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, so Um, so we've got Fedrero, Kyle Soul. His backstory is very interesting. Then we've got Petter and Maracas. Those are kind of like the main ones that they talk about in the story. Then you've got the Kiali. Those are the demons. And they are still doing their little, intrigue things going on, trying to infiltrate the Dominion and destroy the Empire in the north. So, mostly we've got, I believe, Isladar and Ishavriel, and maybe a little bit of Etridian. Those are the names of those main Kiali. They're members of the Lord's Fist. So kind of like the bad guys' lieutenants. Then we're introduced to the Ariani, and they're kind of in another dimension. I don't know if I would say it's like parallel. It's kind of like a hidden land that's like overlaying the real world. And the real world people can't access it easily. So those main characters are the Winter Queen, and she's really, really cool, and Salariant, or Calariant, however you want to say it, but I think it's Salariant. And he's he's the servant of the Winter Queen. I would to me, they're kind of like elves, like high elves, but maybe closer to like angels. But kind of like between a high elf and an angel, kind of like power level in there. But the Winter Queen is, I would say, like a deity. She's like super powerful. Then we've got Anya Cooper. She's the most powerful mage living in this area, because we're just talking about this area of the world. And she's insane, basically. But she's like a child. So she'll like be having like a temper tantrum, but then she'll like lose control of her power, or like burn somebody alive, or destroy a forest in like an instant. Like, she's really super powerful, but she's cray cray. So, and her backstory is really tragic, and it explains why she's, like that. Then we've got Calandrus again. He's a bard of Senio College. He's a trained assassin, and he's also part of the story. And then we're also introduced much more than just a passing reference to the Voyani. So when I think of the Voyani, I kind of picture gypsies. Okay. They roam throughout the south. They're not up in the north. They might go up to the north every once in a while, but for the most part, they're in the south. And so they're matriarchal, so they're ruled by the women. And they have a long, long history, and they have some power. I won't go into what that is or how they use it, because I don't want to spoil it for you. So in this book, they're mostly focusing on the Arcosans. The families of the Voyani are Arcosa, Lysera, Havala, and there's another one I can't remember at the moment. So they're like just wanderers, but they have a long history, and they're very important to what happens in the story, especially further on down the road. And then Margaret is the new leader of the Arcosans. Her mother passed away. Her mother's name is Evelyn. And then we've also got other important characters within the Voyani. We've got Adam, who's her brother. Niku, or Niku, however you want to say it, is the son of Evelyn's cousin. And of course, there's this big family interrelated type thing going on. Then you've got Yolana. She's the matriarch of the Havalans, and she's like a really she's a crusty old lady, but she's really powerful, and but she's really abrupt, and she's tough, and she's had a hard time, but she's like a really strong matriarch. And then Elsar, so the Coronans, and Maria. She's the matriarch of the Lycerans. So those are the main characters for the most part. There might be some other mentions of some of the other ones in there. But for the most part, this story focuses on these people. Of course, since it's an epic fantasy series, there's always going to be a lot of characters. And this is introducing some more. So it's just something that you get used to with these with the series. So let me go ahead and back out of that and hide that window capture that I got going on and put my little dragon back. There we go. Right. So there on the front, I believe that is Margaret holding the mask. I'm not sure. That might be Niku or Adam. I'm not sure who these two characters are since they have the mask. So I'll go ahead and explain like what's going on there. So in the Shining Court, the focus is back on the Dominion. So a lot of the story is taking place in the South. Okay. The country is preparing for the Festival of the Moon, which is a festival where they honor the lady. Okay. So Yolana is the matriarch of Havala, and she's being held hostage by the Wyden. Okay. I guess she got captured or whatever. They don't normally go into the cities, so sometimes when they go in the cities, there's risk, and she got captured. Teresa, Diora's aunt, is traveling back to the Murano clan per her brother's orders, but she's going to make a side trip on the way over there because she's devious and she's smart and she makes use of her time. Okay, and she's going to stop by and try and find the Arcosans, kind of like where they tend to camp with their wagons. They have little wagons, right, like the gypsies. And she's going to deliver the news to Margaret that her mother, Evelyn, has passed away, has died. Okay, so that's kind of what's going on at the beginning of this book. Then Jewel Terrafin has been having dreams. So she has these visions in her dreams. They're not normal dreams. And she's called by these visions to travel to the south. And of course, this is a really difficult time for her to leave the House Terrafin, up in Esselion, because they're having a house war. And the Terrafin Amareus is aging, and so her little council is scheming for power for when she dies, like who's going to take over her spot. Okay. So Jewel, even though she's having all these dreams and she doesn't want to leave, she has to leave because that's what her dreams are telling her to do. And that if she doesn't leave and go down to the south, they'll lose a war. Right. So it's not all clear, but she goes, and she takes with her Avendar, who is her domicis, which is like a butler. I don't know, like a maid, like a male maid. But also kind of like a guardian, right? So he knows magic, and so he's like her protector. So they get attacked in their commons, which is kind of like the market square, and he uses a spell and he transfers them to his home, which is called Evereve, which is down in the south in like this mysterious place. And she wakes up there and she's like, what is going on? So she didn't know this about him. She didn't know he had that power. She didn't know he had this home because he's always kept his background from her. So she's like trying to figure out why she's there and how he got them there and what's going on, why he took them there. But he did it just basically to protect her from getting killed by the demons that were attacking. So then they need to like get out of there. She's like, I don't want to stay here. Okay. And there's other things that are affecting why she doesn't want to stay there. So they go, they're going to travel on these things called the Stone Deepings. And they're going to meet some unexpected characters who are very important, powerful characters. And they're going to try and get back to, kind of like the normal world, not this little hidden little realm of this mage's home. Well, he's not, I don't know if I can call him a mage, this magician. That's a bad word. I don't like that either. Maybe like a wizard? Sorcerer? Somewhere, something in there like that. Maybe mage is the best word. So while they're doing that, the Kiali, the kin, the bad guys, are scheming still in the Dominion, and they want to do a spell, this major spell, and they want to use Anya's power to open a gateway to the Hells, which is where most of the demons are locked away, and they want to open a gateway so they can come into the real world, and take over. So they want to use the mask, and that's the mask that you see there on the picture. So at this festival, you can wear a mask. Everybody can, puts on a mask, and they're kind of hiding their physical self, and then they can reveal their feelings, which is their real self. So the mask allows you to reveal your inner self because people aren't figuring out like who you are. Okay, that's kind of like what's going on with the mask. So the demons want to replace them with their own. That's part of the spell. Okay. And the Radan are working to try and find these demons, get them out of the city, and the Wyden are working to try and negate that spell. They're like, why do they want us to change the mask? What's going on here? So it's all like a puzzle, and they're trying to solve it. So there's quite a bit of time in the story spent with the Wyden and the Radan as they're trying to solve this issue with the mask, because obviously they know that the Kiali are evil, and anything that they want to do has to be serving an evil purpose. It's not like, oh, we just want to make good masks for you. No, it's just they're up to something, and so the people in the South are suspicious. So in the meantime, while Dior is being held hostage, she's holding something unknowingly that's of super great value to the Arcosan Voyani. Okay? She doesn't know that Teresa suspects what it is, and then she kind of gives her suspicions over to Margaret, and they kind of figure out what it is that she has, and they're like, we need to get that back. That belongs with the Arcosans. She can't have that. It's ours, and it's important to us, So they decide that they got to get Diora out of the city. So Calandras and Teresa, the Arcosans, and Yolana, who's being held hostage as well. So Calandras is going to help Yolana escape, right? And then they're all going to work together to help Diora escape so that the Arcosans can get that item. I won't say what it is. And so all of this is kind of going to come together at the Festival of the Moon, this Festival of the Lady. So the masks are going to come out, and this big spell thing that the demons have been working on is going to start happening. But what's going to happen, what the Voyani do to counter that is super cool, and it brings out the Ariani. Okay, so it's something that, it wasn't expected, but the Winter Queen shows up, and there's the wild hunt going on. It's an intense freaking ending. But I won't give any more spoilers about it. So again, the themes that are going on, they're political intrigue, conflict. You've got magic, family, all those kind of things, loyalty, and who's going to take over the world, who's going to rule. These demons just want to take over the world, and they want to, I guess what the word would be, reave people's souls, suck them in, whatever, eat people's souls. They're really evil. So I'll give you, no, that's just my neighbor starting up her car. She's going to work, I guess. So there's a conversation, I'll give you an example from the book. So there's a conversation going on between Margaret and Yolana. So Margaret's been having issues with her people following her and obeying her because she's new to the position of the matriarch, and she's relatively young. I would say maybe 20, 22, somewhere in there, and she's not very confident in her ability to rule her family, to rule her clan. It's basically a clan. So she's talking to Yolana, who's older, much older, and has had all these years of experience in ruling her family. Okay, so Margaret asks her, what do you do, she asks quietly, when your kin, your family, won't follow your orders? And Yolana's like, well, when the orders are serious? And Margaret raises her brow and she says, all of my mother's orders were serious. She didn't waste breath otherwise. And Yolana says, fair enough. I natter when I'm thinking. I order them about. Soothes my nerves. Of course, some of them are stupid enough to listen to every word I say when I'm nattering. But that's their problem, and it's an easy question. The most important thing to the family is the family. The matriarch embodies that. And Margaret's like, yes, but I... And Yolanda just looks at her and says, I kill them. So that's like the intensity. Woo! That's the intensity of the Voyani. They're like a different flavor in the story. I really like it that she put that in there. That they add this other like mysterious dimension to what's going on, because you've got mages in the north and you've got these deities or whatever, but they're people. They're just regular people, but they have this power. And you find out like later on what the basis is of that power. Oh, my AC just went on. So that's the Shining Court. For the most part, I'm not going to go into spoilers because, I probably gave enough away already. I definitely recommend that you read The Broken Crown and The Uncrowned King before you even attempt reading The Shining Court. Otherwise, you're going to be like totally lost. Of course, we're getting to know the standard characters better, like Diora and Teresa. Valadon's not in this book. He was like more featured in The Uncrowned King. And then, of course, the Winter Queen and the Voyani are like just awesome introduction into the story. And my feeling on reading The Shining Court, especially once I read Sea of Sorrows, was that it's kind of like a bridge book. I don't know if that's a literary term, but it's like a bridge book between the major things going on in The Uncrowned King and what ends up happening in the Sea of Sorrows, because there's some major things that go down in the Sea of Sorrows. And the Sea of Sorrows is one of my favorite books in the series. So I would say if I look at the 6 of them, I would say like The Broken Crown, Sea of Sorrows, and then of course the Sun Sword is like, just takes the cake out of all 6 of them. It's so awesome. Okay, so we're about like halfway through the series. After you're done with The Shining Court, we're going to continue on. I hope you pick up the books. You can find them on Amazon, paperback, and I definitely recommend reading them, of course, since this is my favorite fantasy series. As you can see, I have the book here. It's a chunky, the book, kind of starting to get a little beat up. Yes, starting to get a little beat up. Of course, it's not as beat up as The Broken Crown, which I had to replace, and the Sun Sword, which I had to replace. So when I come to do the Sea of Sorrows video, I'll reread it before I do the video, like I just reread this one. And we'll see like the condition of the book. The Broken Crown was just thrashed. It was just thrashed, and the Sun Sword was just thrashed. So anyhow, be sure you like the video and follow the channel. I'm doing gaming and crafting and just a combination of things. I probably drive YouTube's algorithm crazy, but that's okay. I don't mind. It just soothes my rebellious little heart. It's like, okay, well, you'll just have to figure it out, because not everybody is in a box. So I'm outside of the box. Yay. Yay me. Well, that's my Aquarius nature. So anyhow, enjoy the day, pick up the books, and let's discuss. And if you've read the books, please leave a comment for me. Or if you want me to go further into explaining this, that, or the other in the stories, just let me know, and I'll interact with you. So have a great day, and I'll see you next time.